Hello and welcome to the lecture Getting Started with Java Language. Now in this particular video we're going to learn about how do you download from, where do you download from, how do you install, and how do you write a program and then compile it, execute it, what are the various options that we have when it comes to coding. So these are some of the things that we're going to learn in this one. So at the end of this video you should be able to install Java by downloading it from Oracle, going through step-by-step installation process, setting up some Java command prompts, command paths, executing certain commands, basic commands to compile, to run the Java programs, and so on. So the very first thing that you need to do is to download this from somewhere, and all you have to do is to go to Google, search for Java downloads, and you would get this link. And you just click the link, follow the steps, download it. Once you download it, you have to install this. Now installation is a very simple steps. It's a series of wizard steps that you have to go through. Most of the time you can go with the default options, but however you will have some options to change the folder structures or choose what to install, what not to install, and so on. Now when you install, you get something called JDK, JRE, demos, some source code, and so on. JDK stands for Java Development Kit. Now if you are a developer, you definitely need to have this. Now when you develop a software, you can also run the same thing. However, for people who want to use these particular applications, they just need Java runtime environment. They don't need JDK. Now for them, instead of installing JDK and JRE, you can only install JRE. Now demos of course is for you to practice, but if you are learning from somewhere else, you have already some other demos. After downloading and installing, the very first thing that you have to do is to set the path of your operating system to point to the JDK bin directory. Now what do you find this in this directory? In this particular directory, you will find all the executables that you need, such as for example Java C, which is used for compiling, Java, which is used for executing. You have a lot of other things, such as for example a small debuggers, profilers, other compilers, for example converting a source code into an HTML documentation. Anything that you want for executables, you will find it in this directory. Now in practice, you may use certain editors or certain IDEs, and in which case this step becomes optional. Now here is the first example program that we can take up to test whether our installation is as expected. Now in this particular program, as you can see, the very first line is just an indication that where exactly I have kept this particular file. Now in programming world, we call this as a commenting. Now the next set of 4 lines, what you see there is just a program to print a hello world message. Now that's the most common program that you will ever see in any of the languages. Now we take this program, the name of the file is helloworld.java. The next step is to take this source code and compile it. Once you have the source code, the next thing you need to do is to compile. And for compiling, we use the Java C.exe on Windows. However, on other platforms such as Linux and Mac, you'll simply have it as Java C. Now once you take this, all you have to do is to supply the source code and you will get the .class file. Now in practice, you're going to have one single class definition in a source code. But it is possible that you may have multiple class definitions, in which case the compiler will generate multiple .class files for each of the source code. Now keeps the same thing, the generated classes in the source folder itself. However, you do have options to specify different target locations. Now here is an example that we're going to take. Now if you see, I have just listed my folder that shows only one file called helloworld.java. Now let's issue a command called Java C. Now this is how you do. You give a Java C command followed by the name of the file. And if there is no errors, that means everything went well. Now after that, if I look at my directory, I have a .class file also. You can also observe the size variation from the source code to the class file. The source code is around 117 bytes, whereas the class file that got generated is 427 bytes. And that's because Java has converted your source code into something that machine can understand. Now that could include certain programming aspects, certain language specifications and so on. So once you have this .class file, all we have to do is to execute this. Now to execute, we take the help of java.exe, or in other platforms simply Java. And we need to supply the name of the class and not the file name or not the extension as an argument. For example, the class must contain main function, which is public, static and void, and the class is hello world. So we just execute using Java hello world, and there you go, you have the output hello world. Now this, I took a notepad to create this particular file. However, you have a lot of text editors because Notepad doesn't have undo options, doesn't have line numbers, and doesn't provide much features. Now we have some editors such as TextPad, Edit Plus, Notepad++, and so on, where you will have some options to compile, execute from within that editors. They'll also provide line numbers, they provide undo options, they provide tabs, indentation, so many things. Now they have limited features though, so we move to what's called IDEs. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. Now very popularly used ones are Eclipse, NetBeans. Now an IDE typically includes features for debugging, syntax highlighting, auto completion, compiling and executing, generation of code, and there are much features included in an IDE. So we would be using Eclipse or NetBeans, or you can choose any of your favorite IDEs. Now let's summarize what we just discussed. Now Java need to be downloaded from somewhere, and we prefer Oracle website. Now when you use a compiler, you generate a class file and then execute the class using that particular commands Java, C and Java. Now Java provides text editors such as Edit Plus, TextPad, and a very popular set of IDEs available. Most common ones are NetBeans and Eclipse.